Can we do it for the rest of the day today? When I start to talk about God, you will need to know the man I speak so highly of. That man can change your life from zero to hero in no time. He can take you from the grass to your grace in no time. He's a man of his word, oh, as faithful as he says so. You will not see him changing, no. At your weakest he is stronger. When you're blinded he still sees, oh. You will not see him change.
My name is Brother Transpired. I'm head teacher, Mugwanya Preparatory School, Kaboja. I've been a member of this forum since its inception. And so I'm asked to give you a word. It is going to be very brief, because many of us may ask ourselves, how did all this begin and all that. I'll tell you the story, because I know it all. I have a friend, and who was also a great friend of mine back then, quite a number of years ago. And that friend of mine is called Solomon Bumba, Mr. Bumba Solomon. I think he's here. I should have said whatever I'm going to say with him close to me here, so that he bears witness. He bears me witness that whatever I'm saying is the plain truth. Let him come. That's Mr. Bumba Solomon. He could come to my office from time to time. And then, I remember it was a very tough time for educators at that time. He would come and discuss a number of issues. Educators were being blamed for almost everything in the country. Children are not performing well, children are doing this, students are misbehaving, strikes are here and there. Would really feel the public was looking at only the negative part of our work, of what we are doing. Yet we felt we are really doing a lot. were doing a lot of dark work down there. And many of us felt, no, why? Why all this negativity about the teachers and the teaching profession? Is there something that can be done to show the public, to show these people the other side of the coin, that actually teachers are there and they're doing their work, not doing just work, but doing great work. And this great gentleman here, Solomon, came up with an idea and said, brother, you know what? Why? You know, they said there is this philosophy actually which was just behind this whole idea of why we are here. That if you have nobody to blow trumpets for you, and you believe you are worth that blow of those trumpets, please blow them yourself. At that time, there was no other intervention. We have seen so many interventions since then. But I remember, I can bear me witness, that actually there was no such intervention at that time. And Solomon told me, do you know, brother, I know great educators. Yes, some of us may be messing up a few things here and there. But I really know great educators who deserve a thank you. If we cannot receive it from anybody else, let's give it to ourselves. And I thought it meant, you know, there was a lot of sense in that. So this gentleman you see here told me, I'm going, I know almost this whole country. I can travel south to north, east to west, and I will get these great head teachers and I will bring them together. We get at least a day in a year. We gather together, we eat together, we dance together, we chat together, we celebrate our great people who are retired. There are those who are retired, and we may never see them again. Sometimes I think it has been unfortunate that some of our friends, the moment they retire, we kind of forget them completely. We don't see them anymore. And Solomon said we shall go for them, we shall look for them and celebrate them. So actually Solomon has done this in a very, very great way. I don't know, almost year after year. You will imagine today, this is a year after the 2 years of COVID. We have been in lockdown and we are not coming together. And we thought we are going to have, just the response wouldn't be that good, but you can see how many we are here. So year after year, we have seen numbers increasing, coming together to celebrate life, to celebrate ourselves. And I've lived actually to realize that whenever we do something good, even if we do it to ourselves, there are others who are looking on. I've seen quite a number of interventions coming up virtually, and I believe probably we have played some part to wake up others that actually teachers, educators need a thank you. It's not all, negative. It's not all dark with us. I've been part of the National Teachers Conference. We saw it coming up. Eventually, Susan is there, has been great at it. And we've seen the new vision paper coming up with teachers making a difference. And we've seen now all these interventions coming up just to say thank you to the teacher. Webale, amale achi, amale mmere mulijule bwetu kutugera mu Uganda. Webale, amale mmere. Naffe otutafuna twebazaako every time we hear criticism. I think things may go upside down even where they were going okay. So thank you very much. I'm here to welcome you here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are really grateful. I've seen even some of our commissioners with us here. Probably it's not me, it's not myself now to welcome you. I think we have somebody who's going to welcome you in a special way. But we are really very, very grateful, and we would like to see ourselves coming. It's just just once a year. Ladies and gentlemen, let's appreciate ourselves. Let's come together, blow our own trumpets, and you see others blowing them for us.
Thank you so very much. Big man, I had the commissioners.
Coming in is our retired Director of Basic and Secondary Education, Dr. Yusuf Nsubuga. You are very much welcome. I Midland, Zachariah Suga. Is he here? Hey, yes. And many others, let me first be sure. But we have a representative from Mango Senior School.
Mr. MC, I want also to request when you recognize a man and he happens to have come with the... So we are doing it again, Mr. Subuga. So you came alone. Okay. Hey, there you go. A big hand clap. Hey.
Of course, besides a great man,
There is always a powerful woman.
yes,
Sure.
not behind, but beside.
Hey. We are changing these things. Can we put up our hands for the president? Yes. Okay, we may get seated. We have these dinners annually, and this is our very first. And in this dinner, great educators do come together, head teachers, principals, directors, and all people in the field of education, and they celebrate each other, they have fun, they jubilate, they also recognize the great things that have been done by several others. This year's theme is Echo the Legacies. And so that's what we do annually, except for COVID, which failed us 2 years ago. But we thank God we're here for the fourth time. Mr. President, I cannot go without mentioning that among all these people here are big dignitaries, teachers and directors, like I said. But among the people here, we have Mr. Mugwanya Julius. You will wave your hand to Mr. President for recognition. Mr. Mugwanya Julius. Oh yes, Mr. Mugwanya Julius is the retired head teacher, Mukono High School. We have Olive Johire. This is Olive Johire, retired head teacher, Lucida SS. Yes, she's also here. We have Dr. Mukasa Lusambu, retired commissioner, who's also in our midst. And then last but not least, of course, all the people here are dignitaries, but I cannot go without mentioning Dr. Yusuf Nsubuga, retired director, basic secondary education. So, Mr. President, without wasting any of your time, I would like to invite you to address the great educators forum on their fourth dinner. You're so very welcome.
First of all, I want to apologize for having late. This morning, I was in Marasha district. Then from Marasha district, I went to Koboko. Then from Koboko, I met the Indian Association. Then from the Indian Association, Mama told me that there's someone calling me called Boomba. What's Boomba? Oh, Boomba. Now my Muslim told me, but there's education, the education forum, dinner. Then I asked Mama, is it a pate? Because I don't pate. You know, you're not pating. Every time pate. It's pate. Birthday pate. But when is it no, the pate is for educators. I said now I should be part of these people. So I'm here now. You know, governing Uganda is like driving a truck on a bad road. Because if you're ready, you don't rest. Everywhere, Museveni. But when I'm with people who have vision, that's why I said now I'm very comfortable. So I'm here, Mugumia. Where's Mugumia? So I want to thank you for your contribution, especially in the education institution. Do we have scientists here? Yes. Oh, my scientists. Because these people have done a tremendous job, especially towards the fighting of COVID. So our art, those people who are doing art, you are teaching Napoleon, Shakespeare. But I want to thank you, and I'm going to talk to Mama so that we start increasing salaries of even art teachers. Where's Nsubuga? I see Nsubuga here. Where's Nsubuga? Okay, Boomba, come here. And clap for my music, Boomba. Boomba, I got to know Boomba in 1986. And Boomba has been coordinating, has been coming to the State House. I don't know whether he wants my seat. But Boomba has got vision. That's what because someone was saying now, why don't you see other people who have got vision? First of all, my teachers, all of you have got vision. So those who have been asking me, now show us your successors. Boomba is one of my successors. My only challenge, when you get into power, don't overstep. Because that's a problem with African leaders. In Ankara, we normally say that ecology is moral. That when someone does something good, that person should be rewarded. So I'm going to give you 2 cows, every one of you. Because of the good things you are doing to our students, although I don't see social distancing and I don't see masks, no, that's very bad. Now these people are going to right now, these people, Museveni is bribing teachers. Now this is not bribing because these people have a lot of work also. For example, they wrote in the, was it? Bukhete. Museveni Afude. Why? the second page, Museveni afude ensako. Then they write in red paper, Mama is expecting. Now expecting what? When I opened the second page, they said she's expecting visitors from Germany. So my teacher, don't listen to Worokoso, don't retire, because retiring is not very good. So because there are some people who say, Museveni now, Museveni now. Eh? I'm still young. I have stamina. That's why Mama calls me baby face. So I want to go to and milk my cows. I wish you well. Thank you very much.
Want to appreciate the gifting and the talent in our country. At one time I got tempted to think he was the man here. I only realized the presidential guard wasn't outside, so I reminded myself where we were on the dinner. Thank you so very much. And I will welcome my we will welcome our first speaker. Can we put our hands together for him? Thank you so very much.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda in absentia, our dear beloved visitors, the former commissioners in the Ministry of Education, the directors of this organization, the Great Educators Forum, the MCs of this function, the colleagues, seniors in education and the professional struggle, the senior head teachers, the retired head teachers but not tired, with due respect to my senior, Dr. Matovu, and the rest, the administrators in making in the House, the deputy heads of the institutions, and all our invited guests and service providers, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I would like to thank the Lord for this moment of time, and today is such a very special day. I've been lively informed that it is the 8th day of December, and it makes itself special in its own way. We need to thank the Lord by praising Him. Let's clap for Him. I think a lot has been said about me, and I don't know where they got the information, but certainly I've seen my PA around, and I didn't doubt. I knew probably he had to give a brief of the folder, and then they had to bring it here. Thank you. But indeed, I am Kamlegia Mohammed Haji. I work with Tebi Secondary School as a team leader in the meaning of the head teacher. And I'm here on invitation and with a special request to share something with you. And permit me at this point in time recognize the members of State Secondary School on his instructions and permission. I operate. Please, members of the institution, kindly stand up for recognition. Thank you very much. Those are the members. They constitute the administrative team of this organization that I'm representing here. Without their mandate, I would not be able to stand here to speak to you. And I want to thank you for allowing me to speak to you and giving me your time. Who am I that you can listen to? Please clap for that. But in a special way, I also like to thank the organizers of this function. I would like to mention Mr. Solomon and the team. Please stand up for recognition. I've had a lot being said about you, but I request that you come nearby here so that I get the courage of giving a reference. And the team. I remember when you visited me last time, you came with a very big team. And I don't know where the team is, but I know they are doing very many things outside there. My friend, my brother has already spoken about Solomon, and I also want to add on his statements. Thank you for coming up with this very big idea. We cannot underrate the forum here. We want to thank you so much. It takes big heart to do this in very big way. Thank you very much. Colleagues, the heads of institutions, I congratulate you upon having come to the end of the academic year. I know this has been a very stressful year, given the economic challenges, and I want to congratulate you. I know we are completing the exams tomorrow. You have been really taking up a very busy schedule. But I want to thank you for managing institutions. And above all, I would like to thank you for supporting this organization and also supporting the nation in all ways that you have been doing that. I'm very grateful. Thank you for the work you are doing, and thank you for serving the government in different ways. I want to bring about a brief of the history of this matter. I remember on 8th of October, this very year, I received Solomon together with a team in my office. They phoned me very busy, and they told me, of course, he didn't have the appointment, but I allowed him to come, and I spared time I shared with him. Thank you for being patient, because he waited for close to a full day. But he said he wanted to see me, and I accepted. I saw him. But what scared me was that moved with a very big team. Little did I know that they were conducting the research. And I asked, of all schools, why have you decided to come here and then gather data from here? You can have the reasons probably that you put forward. But most importantly, I accommodated them together with the team, and they asked the questions they were asking. And then I took the track through my PA to record the questions. And I listened to the questions, and we started discussing the questions. Fortunately, or unfortunately, he did not finish the session, but he left us with an exercise of completing and filling his questions, the gaps, and then we take back the answers. And then when he got the answers right, he requested me that, no, that's an opinion that you are going to come and deliver and share with other members. I am here to report that I am not giving a lecture here, but I'm standing here as a disclaimer to probably give an opinion that represents or comes from State Secondary School on the instructions of the greater educators, and that's what I'm going to do this evening. Questions were not given to me in my individualistic capacity, but as I stated, they were given to the administrators of this school, and I'm representing them to deliver the opinion. The first question was, it was a problem issue and said schools follow the same syllabi, do similar national exams, school managers are paid uniform government salaries, managed by the same laws. But despite all the above similarities, I am wondering, who was wondering, Solomon and the team, I am wondering why schools have continued being ranked differently by various stakeholders in this country. This was his problem. And he chose to come to us to discuss a matter related to that. And it became a bitter pill to swallow for us to give an opinion there and then, until we asked time. Fortunately, when I was also making some movements around, I met the colleagues, and people were talking about some kind of unfairness. They were actually mentioning, in his discussion, he mentioned some schools that I don't want to mention here. But I've seen the head teacher of Indeje, the name came around. So he mentioned Indeje, and was comparing it with Chitem. I somehow got concerned. Then also mentioned another name, I've not seen my colleague here, the head teacher of Mengo, he mentioned it. And also was comparing it with Chitem. Then he mentioned other schools, he talked about Luzira, and also he put it in the picture. So the question was, are these schools different? Now when I got a chance of moving, I also met some head teachers. Some of them were moving when their heads are down. That they have been given lower schools. I wish they could be given bigger schools. And then that really constituted a lot of what? Debate. And I said, no, today we have a forum where I have the great educators, and I think this matter should be stated here. And then when we present it here, we shall get various opinions. Because the bigger issue and the question at play is, are schools different? It was such a very big assignment. We discussed. He was part of the debate. And somehow we got the answers. And that is where we go to areas of institutional areas of common interest. In this case, we agreed that all these schools, government and private schools, in executing their functions, we realize that all education institutions are affected by a similar external environment. And them being open system, they are permeable with external forces. And in particular, education institutions are affected by this what's called PESTO. Ladies and gentlemen, while trying to answer the question that was put before us, we realized that these schools are disturbed or face a force or a challenge that we have chosen to give a name PESTO. And every one of you agree with me. The private, the government, the secondary, including even the universities. All of us. And the question is, this is the problem that we face together as institutions. And then by facing these institutions, big, even if you talk about my friend Dr. Nodgera Ndeje, is actually affected by this problem. When you talk about our friends from Mengo, they will agree. When you talk about Kawempe, they will agree. This problem is a very serious problem that we all face together. But then what makes us and what makes those schools quite different is what we want to give here in this discussion. But let's try to address ourselves to this PESTO issue. What do we mean by the PESTO as a common challenge that we face as educationists in all whatever? Now, the first challenge is about the political arena that we want to share and to agree before we go to the answer and answer his concern or question. We say that in managing these schools, the law provides for the procedure of good governance. You'll agree with me that we are all governed by the Education Act of 2008. All schools. And therefore we extract our mandate from there. We are managed by the public standing orders. We are managed by the civil procedure rules, all of us in this case. So when you talk about the political forces, when you talk about the decentralization, all schools, big, small, and what have you, are affected by that fact, correct? That qualifies us to be having similar problem. Then also realize in answering this question, because the question was two-sided. One, we had to agree that it answered the same. It pushed at the same level and the economic arena in this arrangement. And then we said that institutions are governed by the same economic challenges, irrespective of the challenges and the areas of operation. You agree with me that when you go to the market as education managers, the price for the beans is the same, isn't it? The price for OSHO and everything we do are. We went to the second factor. We are still into the other element of the similarity, that schools are the same. And what makes a difference in this arrangement? The second one is the issue of the social element. And then we say here that all schools have issues, things to do with the values, the religious values, the cultural values, the hygiene, the health, mentioned them, and as you've seen them in arrangements of activities such as MDT. By doing all this, all schools go before the ministry calendar. And then we are bringing out the social element. And because schools in the same terms as they are, definitely that qualifies schools to be the same in that arrangement, because we all face this challenge. Then also looked at another challenge, and this is the technological challenge. And then he said that all education institutions are operating in the era of knowledge explosion, and as well as the rapid changes brought about by innovations and inventions in technology and all that, as you can talk about. You have all seen the challenge of the ICT, isn't it? Those ones how they misuse, those ones how they misuse the TikTok, those ones who misuse the whatever, in all areas. Of course, when I talk about that, every person, every fool can be able to throw something. Of recent, there has been a law that people have not yet appreciated. But challenges are there. When you talk about the ICT challenges, when you talk about the wave of ICT, all of us were affected by that. We agreed as members of the institution that definitely this qualifies the schools to be the same. And you'll agree with me that the challenges I find or face in that aspect of technology can easily hit you in one way or the other. And that is also a challenge. Even if you talk about the topmost school that I cannot state here, it has that problem. And even the lowest school, it has the what? The challenge. Very many times, for those who don't have enough time, enough activities and what to do, you have seen many things they keep on posting. And you wonder, where do they find time to put such things there when people are busy thinking and doing very constructive work? Now, another common challenge that we all face together is the challenge of the ecology. And then we said, will you agree with me, the seniors who are here, that all institutions are affected by issues of environment pollution and as well as noise pollution? You agree wherever we are. Irrespective of the area, this is a common challenge. And then also we said that all schools in Uganda, government, private, and the rest, are managed by the legal regime. What we call that institutions are governed by the laws of Uganda, as well as other regional and international statutes. And therefore, all institutions are regarded as corporate bodies, and every institution can sue, and it can be sued in cases of what? Violation. We gave them a name called PESTO. And this is a problem or a force that disturbs or that affects all of us in our ways of managing the institutions. And because this is a problem now, where do we find a difference in these institutions? It is something that I have come to talk about briefly today. And then we moved on by looking at that after gathering all those challenges that put us together in the same umbrella, we said the second question was that despite all PESTO forces in all education institutions, schools are ranked differently by various stakeholders, and that is the question was why? said, what do you want me to do? Is to come here on this day to share an opinion. Now that we have seen that the major problem that we face is a problem, a challenge. Now, the difference comes in solving these challenges. The way we solve these challenges, they definitely put us to different levels. And our approaches to these challenges, it is actually what puts us there. The other time when I've been here and I've been seeing people talking about these issues, the activities and ABCD, correct. And I want to bring you to speed very fast. That I remember when I was given the headship of Chiteli, I really had the head of school, with due respect, the head teacher of Gayaza. I was handed over the school with 1,900 students. But what was the problem? The problem was the school was operating a double shift. Why? Because the children were more than the structures. Now, when I was given that, I looked at it under the issue of the political and under the issue of the now school of 3,500 students as of now. Could we really be able to have the students study half day and then bring another set? And then what do? We had to encounter the challenge as it is. Not alone, and then we have to do it with many other stakeholders as we shall do it. Now, all institutions in Uganda have challenges, big as they are, small as they are, but the issue is how do we encounter these challenges. And I want to put these people, especially the colleagues who say that when they have been given the schools and ABCD and what have you know, God does not burden the soul beyond its ability. You must be able to appreciate that where the Lord has put you, that's where your ability is. Because if you are taken to Dr. Kaibiza's place, you can die. It is not correct, it's not true that these people in the schools that we call different big as they are, they do not have challenges. Actually, they have more challenges than you have. I am here to speak about problem solving and decision making so that we address these issues. And that's what I beg, that you give me your time and share with you, since this is an opinion and subject to any other issue. Ladies and gentlemen, in developing an opinion, and after looking at all that, we agreed. And then we said we have differences in problem solving and decision making. While answering the task and the challenge that has been put across us, we realize that the problem solving is the answer to the conflicts. And we have said it very clearly that problem solving and decision making are both important leadership activities and represent vital contributions towards the achievement of the organization goals and objectives. Therefore, on the account of the above, all leaders and their groups should be involved in the process of solving institutional challenges and what have you. It is very easy to have a leader who does not appreciate that the institution has problems, because it takes brain to know the source of the problem. It takes brain to know where the problem comes from and how the problem is going to affect the institution and how the problem is going to affect the stakeholders. And this is the reason why you find some education administrators looking in this similar aspect. And then you see you are dying, my man. What's the problem? The institution is killing me. How is it killing you? The institution is killing me because we have seen people of this nature. Why? And that is why you find the head teacher, very smart as he is, the head teacher of Rosida, my brother, Peter, when I talk about him, you don't see. Every time I meet him, Peter, you see you are putting on weight. What's the problem? You say, I'm managing very well. I appreciate that his approach to the problems are very okay. All the time I've been seeing Dr. Kaidiza, he has always been that way. See, what's the problem? So I'm okay. And this is where we get that problem. Today we said, on the request, that let's come here and then agree. And I think we have agreed that in our areas of operation, we are all affected by the pest. Many of you know how the economy has been disturbing. Many of you have been aware of how the social media and the rest have been operating. The question is there all over. Even if you get from here to another, I have found so many people crying. Why don't I get this? My friend, you better get settled where you are. You better get settled where you are. Because wherever you think there is freedom, there is instead what? Fire. But the point is, first solve the problems that you have in that institution that are forcing you to run away. And then after solving them, then you'll be able to be taken elsewhere to solve other problems. I think that one will be a very good trick in as far as administration is concerned. I really wonder how you will find a man looking like this one, carrying problems, when you have this element or this party, the partners called administrators in school. I want to bring it to your attention, members and education managers, that when they are giving out the schools, in this case, they have not given this school to you as an individual. They have given you so many people, and that's the political element as a challenge. The point is, how are you using this element, the political element? How are you using the stakeholders that you have been given? How are you using the board of governance, the body governing you? How are you using these administrators? And it's very important. And many chances, we must realize that, of course, if you do not bring these people together, to all the problem together, you're going to, before you know it, you'll be looking like the other man. And people will find you, they'll start putting so many questions. Don't you think you need a test for a certain diagnosis? And then you'll be not in position to say. I'm here to share with you that in managing these problems that we are talking about in institutions, let's value this element called administration. What administration is all about. It is important that when you are going to talk about administration, the three questions must be well understood and must be well solved. And this is a question of what am I doing, and this is a question of why am I doing it, and this is a question of how we are doing it. But rest assured, you can never answer these questions as an individual until you bring the team on board. Your what, your how, and why you may do some bit of error in as far as those elements are concerned. But I want to request that let's try to make a proper use of this. Various scholars have used and have defined these issues, and I'm very sure that many of us can be able to read, and I've made it very clear. You can quickly read, but I want to tell you that this organ called the administrative organ is very important. You leave it out and you start doing things on your own, then you're quickly going to resemble the other gentleman that you have seen finding or doing the same. And I've been able to bring you to speed by answering the why and by answering the how and the what questions on how to do. But what is very important, you can share with the rest of the two and take the last data, which is the how part of it. And that is the educational process in the circumstance. Organizing, the directing, and the control, name them as you have seen them down there on page 5. They will be found. This is very important. It is upon this background, when you look at this issue, that if we can get this process correct, we can answer the forces of pesto. The forces which are eating us, the pesto forces, can only be answered by this element, how, and that is the education administration. How do we go about it is what makes a difference between GTB and another institution. Of course, in addition to other factors, but the major factors technically we can bring out can definitely be this. In your own capacity, because these schools can never have the same names. They will definitely retain their names. And some of them are tradition in that sense. But that doesn't make them strong or remain different or big until we do something and try to see a contribution that will make us very great and meaningful in as far as the area is concerned. On this note, I would like to thank all those who have been able to respect these three questions, the what, why, and how, and they have been able to answer some of these questions, and they have kept the integrity of the institutions in doing this. Thank you very much, and I request that you clap for them in that very harmony. Mr. President, who is not here, I also like to agree that, of course, why do we continue being different? Is because of the differences and the different makers or decision makers that you have in our different institutions. When you go, I bring you to speed that you all know that we have differences in our decisions. We have various decision makers in institutions. And we have listed the institutions, the decision makers have been grouped into close to 20 of them. I've been able to share with you like around 7. And you can answer yourself where you fall, and that actually can be attributed to the institution. We begin with the number 1, the procrastinators, as you have seen them. And you have them, according to these administrators in institutions, these simply fail or do not have an ability to make decisions. And they usually say, let's think about this, and some more and others else we see what happens. This is very dangerous. There are people who look at the political, the social, and they, apart from lamenting and talking about, they cannot have any ability to do anything. But I will clearly tell you, how do we need to administer this school? Some people forget that when you are told to be the head of the institution, you really put on so many coats as I'll bring you down. And that's one of the administrators at times. Now the second type, you have seen the vacilators. They switch back and forth. What happens here, these ones, they waste resources by off-gaining projects, and people stumble through doing, undoing, and redoing. Those ones also there. I cannot say so and so is in this category. Then also realize that there are those ones we call the fence eaters. Those ones, they do not try to take any risk and make any decision. Ladies and gentlemen, if I'm to remember and to borrow from the economic point of view, if you are to be an administrator good who can engage all these problems, you must take this slogan, that the highest risk is to fear a risk. Akabi akasinga mbubi kwe kutya akabi. As administrators, we are meant to carry risks in this case. We also have those administrators. They don't want to take a risk. The problems are there, the political, the social, the economic, and they do not want to take any kind of risk in arrangement. We also have the one we call the impulsives, like speed. These ones, they have little concern for facts and teaching and the finances. We have the professors. The problem is there. For him, he wants to correct. He's asking for so many details. And some of them do not require that. You need to take a decision there and then. But the professor will continue, I want this, I want this, I want this. Even in the law, when there is something, there is a problem, we call for what we call brief facts. We don't ask for facts, but we get into brief facts. But for the administrators in the line of the professors, you ask a lot. But you have been told there is no food in store. And you know what is going to happen. And then you are still scratching the heart, but what about this? Have these students paid an ABCD? This causes the risk of the highest order. And if you don't address it as it is, of course, for these cases, they really make us to appear different in one way or the other. We have others, we call them the pipe smokers. These ones like to think about the problem. So they relax, they say, give me time. You have had the information, they always believe in what? In time. You see why you call them pipe smokers? Because it's like taking a cigarette. And then say, give me time to think about this. Because this man fears to undertake that very what? Risk. And sometimes they say that problems eventually solve them what? Silence. Some of them enter churches and then they say, let us pray. And that problem is so dangerous. If the English can allow, can even be dangerous. And then you say, let's try to see and think they solve. Those are also there. And these are the differences in as far as the administrators are concerned. Now we have many others. We have those ones we call that bulls in the china shop. We have the manipulators, and then we have the timid and warriors. Those ones are there. Now, it depends on which type of decision maker are you. That's one of the issues we need to address ourselves to. Are you a risk taker? Are you a pipe smoker? Are you any record? Because I'm trying to give an opinion of what his challenge was, and I want to thank the management for doing the case. Of course, what is very important, whatever the variety, as we are talking about, their style of leadership, or lack of it, results into what we call loss of respect from employees and loss of leadership opportunities. And such behaviors inevitably leads to the error and blocks problems, analysis, and decision making. Like we said, leadership needs a systematic approach, as we have talked about in that case. Ladies and gentlemen, there is also this challenge that I want to address. That what happens is that when you're given the headship of school, for you think that I'm going to be the administrator of the school, and you forget that you can never manage the school until you board the other courts. There are areas where you need to be a leader. There are areas where you need to lead others. There are areas where you need to lead effectively. And there's an element where you need to be being an administrator and being a manager and being a ruler. Because of lack of knowledge, because of lack of experience, and because of the issue of thinking, that's where people quickly judge. Administratively, I could have acted as a ruler, and I rule over the matter, based on the pesto. But because this one is in analog, and he thinks about the procedure, he's a professor, we must have gone ABCD, and what have you, he quickly concludes and draws the judgment. As leaders and education managers, we must think about this. Under what circumstances do I need to be a leader? Do I need to be a ruler? Do I need to be a manager? There are situations when going to be a crisis manager, and you're handling the crisis. You may not need a board, but you need to inform the board, because you have to do it left, right, and what? And center. And probably, I think, because of this element, we also need to talk about this. I talked about the same, that it is very easy for some administrators to be in school and actually face to know where the problem is. How do we establish that there is a problem in an institution? The people outside there, especially the stakeholders of the institution, the parents, the politicians, and what have you, they are seeing a challenge. And for you as an administrator, you are not seeing a challenge. And of course, this is where conflicts are going to begin from. And that is where the element of the political element is going to come in board and at play. The point is, as an administrator, are you able to detect where the problem is? And can you be able to know that this is a problem or challenge? That creates a difference. Some people are so quick to take and understand that there's a problem and there's a challenge, and they address themselves very quickly to that challenge. And I've given an explanation and a definition, but it's important that administrators and managers get to know what problems are, and then you address them in that element and what have you. Then also, when you discover where the problem is, we must be in position to know how this discovered problem is going to be solved. And of course, by this we are talking about which proper decision in this case. It is very important, and it is also, it takes you a very big task for you to know whether the decision you're taking is a workable decision, because not all decisions that we take really are workable in that case. We have stated that problem solving is a general term which sometimes confuses and is used for process of analyzing situations and arriving at the workable solutions, including the implementation. It is not enough for you to think of a decision and you end it there. There is another very big challenge that we call implementation, because that's what is going to bring out the answer. And that's where many times you have challenges as managers. Because if you bring your idea as a solution, individualistic idea, and you implement it there, it is going to be opposed. And you're going to find resistance. Because it was not understood, people were not brought on board, and that is where we say it was not a workable solution in the arrangement. So we have said about this, and we talked about the decision making and how that can be, and of course in institutions, definitely That also gives us a very big difference in among our schools. And then the decisions taken by single decisions, you find an institution that the headmaster does it all. You'll be informed if actually it's lenient and causes convenes a meeting, but it's a single decision. And these decisions sometimes they make us appear different in our systems. How it affects, or some of these decisions affect. We have the minority decision, where you have very few people. You could even be having a very big administrative team, and you have very few people. For example, many of us have a challenge that for your decisions are taken with your BASA because they involve something. And then you see, you do not need to let these other people know. That one is minority is also dangerous. Many times in institutions that we run, they also have challenges in that case. And administrators were here. Even when you want to eat money, you can bring everybody on board and still take your money. It is possible, unless you do not do financial management very well. We can bring everybody. Why would you really have the meeting? Is an exclusive meeting with the bus. So every morning must have, they close themselves in a matter and ABCD. And eventually, if you're not very careful, you end up into that, whatever. Bring the ideas on board as far as the areas are concerned. But also have the third one, the majority decision. It is dangerous in a way, but you must be able to play your own cards. In this case, now we are talking about the administrators. Let's assume that you have 19 of them. Now you bring the idea on board and be able to convince them. That will put you to the position where you deserve to be. In this case, on speed, but make sure that all these elements have been complied with, and you can talk about. But don't forget that they also have some weaknesses in this case. And in many cases, go back to what I've told you. Now look at the situation and study, and then act. Then according here, I'm going to be a ruler. According here, I'm going to be a manager. According here, I'm going to be an administrator. According here, you can even choose to be a politician. And you must make sure that all these areas, what? Now, when you fail to appreciate that, we are definitely going to be looked at differently from some of the institutions or members who have been able to appreciate about organizations which work as a team. The other time I was speaking to the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education, when she spared us time to come, and he was asking, and I requested that how I wish the title of the head teachers in the institution would be changed and they become team leaders. Why? Because it sounds demotivating. Because in a meaning, when you say the head teacher, it simply means that you are heading the teachers. But this is a full government, where you have the group, where you have the support, where you have the parents, where you have the whatever, all these stakeholders. Don't you think I would request that you join me and you take a motion that we change this title, the titles that we feel proud of, and then become team leaders in institutions. Why? Because we need to take about this. This is really very important. Why? Because we are talking about the team. But in most cases, let's try to understand that in as much as we are talking about the team, the group, the departments, as we talk about this, let's try to know that these people should be well convinced on the following areas. We should be on the same page, the common purpose, it should be well stated, why and for what reason are you getting there, and then the personal benefits. It is not really enough for you to talk about your individual benefits and you don't consider the benefits of other members in that arrangement. So the better interactions and the rest of these issues will come on the issues. Now, the other time I talked about that it is very hard to understand where the problem is. And normally this is where we need to understand how to analyze the problem situations in our education institutions. That trick is very simple. And this is normally where we disagree. Look at the high quality versus low acceptance. This is the challenge that we face among our staff. For you, you are seeing quality in something. High quality, it is on your side. But the acceptance is low. Just here, that's a problem. How do you address it? It can cut across the pestle. And then you choose which one is a method that you're going to undertake. The second one, as a technique, you also look at high acceptance, low quality. People, you realize many of our teachers in school, They really like things which are of low quality. And as a head of institution, you are struggling, you need results. And the majority of them are saying, no, this is a USE school. Do not force us into the thing. There is already a discrepancy between the actual and the ideal. Realize that that is a problem. And how do you bring them on speed? It is a very big challenge. Those techniques, one will be at a high acceptance, another will be at a low acceptance. That's a problem. And that's why you sit in that chair, and that's how you're going to borrow some of those quotes that we have talked about. Now the third one, that is really very rare to find, is high acceptance, high quality. That what you need as a head of school is what your followers do what? Need at the same level. There are few schools that have reached that level. But even then, those schools, they might not have reached that what? Level. I am bringing this one out for us to understand that we should always keep our ears down and should be able to know this thing that I'm seeing that has quality, what are the followers saying? You definitely hear that they're opposing it. Then go down and start on your mechanism. Go to your partners, the administrators, and try to lay strategy, and you see that you reach this stage of high quality and high acceptance, and there you will reach a level of a school that Solomon was looking for and regarded in that case for that matter. Ladies and gentlemen, we have moved on and we have taken on the stuff. But of course, we talked about the problem-solving techniques, and we have also given some of the elements here about separating ideas, about turning disagreements into alternatives, and this is very important. That I want to tell all the head teachers, educational managers, that we have a challenge and a problem. That when you have a member of staff, either in administration, and you disagree, you feel that this person should leave the institution. Transfer. I think this is not a solution. But at times when you realize that it is a requirement, you do it. There is a time, the other time when I was being interviewed and by Odemutuaban, and the interviewer came with a question about the transfer. I said, you can be a ruler, you can be an administrator. There is a time when I transferred 28 to create stability of the institution. And the reasons were there. And the stability of that institution is now what? So when I talk about some of these issues, yes, you leave a room where you need to agree at a point, but you must also know that there are areas where you need to disagree. But at times, when you go back, you try to think about this. I say, let's separate idea getting from evaluation. Let's try to find time of collecting ideas, and then let's try to find another time of evaluating. Regardless of what somebody has said, but when you go down and find your time, you can find that he has spoken some sense, and also redefining conflicts. As education managers, we must know that somebody opposed me at a given point. How can we redefine conflicts? And then you find some good time, and you move out, you see, but yes, we disagree. Because the problem is, we must be able to lower ourselves from wherever we are. What was the real problem? And then you need to get into that level at that point. And somebody tells you, you realize that by the time you come from that meeting, you realize that you really acted overboard, and this person had an issue. Because these people, in all the schools, they are people. Wherever they operate, these people have been given to you to solve these problems that we call pesto, and then bring them on board. How do we use these resources is the issue. And I invite every one of you to these issues and analyze them very well. Our techniques that we can use to solve some of these challenges, and then we move on. They move, there are very many, ranging, and then move up to 6, 7. I request my PA, you have to give this presentation to people, because these are really great people who can be able to read and appreciate this text. You give them the email, and then you have it in soft copy, it can be taken. Now, finally, because I'm about getting to 30 minutes, finally, group problem solving and decision making. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we differ. This is where we differ, and this is a process. Remember, we began by identifying the personal problems. And then the major concern for this discussion is how do we solve them and which decisions are we taking. The following are key important areas. To all of us here, even if you are having a private project, regardless of the educational institution, you can be having a company, you can be even at home. Sometimes you need to understand. There are cases, some of these techniques can be used at home. You could be busy quarreling with a woman at home, and you don't know what's the problem. Of course, when the woman demands for her rights at night, you feel you are unable. And then for you feel to know this is the challenge. So every time people sing, pick and. Now you need to really sit down and see, how can I solve this problem in this case? Are we together? The biggest challenge is for us to fail, accept that there is a problem, and how do we go about it? And because we are not angels, of course problems are there, and we must be able to accept them. But number one of the steps, identify and define the problem. When you make a proper identification, you're going to get wrong solutions. This is key area for everyone. Now leave alone the education issues. Many of you have your private businesses. You are investors everywhere. And I told you, all institutions are affected by this problem called pesto. Is this problem arising from political element? Is it arising from economic aspect? You could be having issues of paying salaries, and the money is not there in ABCD. The details are there, but the point is, have you identified the cause of the problem and where the problem is coming from? Is a challenge to many of us education administrators, and sometimes we get wrong solutions to wrong problems, and we don't realize results. That definitely keep and creates a difference, Mr. Solomon. Am I answering you? Number two, as a step, we must be able also in that arrangement to gather and feed facts together. I want to tell you that after identifying the problem, you must gather the facts. There are some questions down there you need to ask yourself, and these questions are very important. Has this ever happened here? Imagine you are a new head teacher in an institution, and this problem is emerging, and the students are striking, they are threatening to strike. You must be able. You come to realize that there are some external forces. There are some people who are here trying to back up these students to do this because of the external factors. Of course, when I talk about pesto and political, this is politics. Politics is not about forgoing the state house. It can also about overthrowing the regime. You should be able to understand what other forces are at play. But in understanding and after identifying the problem, gather the information very well and be able to ask yourself these important questions. Has this ever happened before? What caused this problem? Where does this responsibility for breaking down, and all those questions? Key important, because they're going to help you arrive at a decision. Then we shall go to the third point of it, ladies and gentlemen, and that is the generation of the alternative solutions. You should be able to understand, yes, I did this, and then you must be able to find alternative solutions. And by having the alternative solutions, you must be having your thinking team that probably you're going to share up with at a given point, and then you try to share. Because when you come up with one alternative, it may not be workable. Remember I talked about a workable solution. And then you should try to look at the alternative solution as they are, and then you must have the brainstorming team. Even when you talk about the administration, you should be having your own people. And then when you have alternative, you move out with somebody. The problem is sometimes you are too many that you even feel that taking out somebody for a cup of tea, it is really very costly. You might have realized. The other time I was presenting a paper in Belgium, and the professor put us to task, said Haji, and made me to stand up. Said I have a challenge here and which I want to pose to you. Now imagine you need gold, and you've been told that in that fat pig there is gold, and you feel it's part of your what? With due respect to the Hajis here, this was a question that tasked the brain. And the question that I'm throwing to every one of you to ask, and was so challenging, what do you do? Of course, there are quite a number of Muslims, and all of them started giving questions. Ask Tagafron, ask. And when Dr. Sugar is not here, he would actually have guided us very well on how would you go about it. But what was very interesting, of course I asked the question because I tell you the answer I say. But one of the participants said, you need to kill this pig. And then when you kill this pig, you'll be able to get what? Gold. The white man looked at the man like this. And he asked, what was the moral of the story? Does this mean that if your administrator is so good, kill him? If you're in a very good school and you feel the headmaster has made it very well, kill him? Because that was the application of the idea. To make all those cases as you see. But now the point is, administrations like that. And when I talk about this, my colleagues, the Muslims, and then talk about this, it is, I'm bringing an element that in administration you must be flexible. I was so brilliant on that day, good enough for Dr. Suga is arriving. And I'm giving a question at this very time, before me at a time. And I remember when I was going for that conference, he's the one who recommended me to go for that conference in Belgium. Doctor, I've been bringing people to speed here, that in one of the conferences you sent me to represent you as the ministry when you were director. I was challenged by one of the professors. And the professor asked me a question. Excuse me, I'm extending a bit from 30 minutes because of the gravity of the matter. And then the professor asked me, it was a very interesting question, that had he made me stand up, and I was very obedient, I stood up. Good enough, I was very smart. So the man asked me a question, doctor.
As usual.
That imagine you a Muslim, aren't you? I said I am. A very serious one. By now I would have gone for prayers, and because of this matter, I cannot really, God can forgive me about this, but I'll have to come on board and then go. So imagine you need God, and somebody has identified, now problem solving, that the God you need is in that fat pig. And you need it. If you don't get it, you don't have life. The man asked me, how would you go about that? And we are undertaking the assignment of problem what? Solving. Doctor, I would not ask this question, but I've been telling these people, one of the participants, because I was thinking, but one of the participants stood up very fast and put up the hand. And the man said, embarrassed us actually. I didn't give you a report. He said, you kill the pig, and then you get what? Say, you people, followers don't kill their leaders, because you need some good things. And doctor, I put up the hand for the second time after getting a clear idea. From Muslim, I would pick this pig. I would feed it very well. I would monitor this pig and wait for this pig to defecate. And I would go for that God because it would be put out. The man gave me $500. And what is the moral of the story in relation to our today's discussion? Is that let's benchmark the administrators. Let's monitor them. Let's start from them. Let's not fight them. And this goes to the administrators, the upcoming who are here. Always remember the theory of the pig. You must be able to ask, why has he done this? And how have you looked up this? And that's the point. Definitely in all schools, at Solomon, I'm answering you, in all schools these issues happen. It is the reason why we find in some schools the headmaster falls sick for 3 years, 5 years, and management goes on very well. In other schools, the headmaster falls sick for 1 day, and you find strikes. That makes us different. When I talk about my dear friend Peter can understand. And that is what makes us different in that case. That have we been able to gather and then to do the same? So let's try to look at those issues and then have the alternatives and move on. Now stage 4 of our undertaking is evaluate the alternative solutions. When you are given different solutions or you have generated different solutions, let's try to overweight them. And you are buying time, and we are really doing a role of solving the problems that we talked about. And then you evaluate them in a way that we can get the best solution, and in a way that we can really understand and solve this. The other point is about decide on the best acceptable solution. You might have evaluated the issues you have. Most of the things you have in life is about decision. And I'm saying that the problems and the difference you are talking about is our decision making. Where you are not well gifted in making decisions, you are bound to make wrong decisions, and they come up with wrong effects. And what will happen? They affect the community, they affect the institutions, they affect so many things, and we start doing the same. Some people are busy taking wrong decisions, but they are busy putting their nose into other schools. How can you get to know what is happening in other school without even knowing the problems you are having? You scratch the neck, make sure that you see what is happening here. And you find most of these things on social media are these people who are nothing of what to do. You have a lot on your desk. You must be able to think. The other time I was asking myself whether it was fair. When I was given this institution that I'm representing here at TTIP, I have tried to even find time of going to the neighborhood school, the neighbor primary. I have not found it. I actually completed 0 time. Because every time I wake up, I feel I should really have something to share with my colleagues, and the time is not there. Then I ask some of these education administrators, where do you find time? These guys have not been able to identify the challenges. They have not been able to know that they have problems in institutions. They have not been able, they are busy thinking, but now, suppose I'm given this, I'm telling you, the fact that you have failed to handle these cases, you are calling and you are putting yourself into another fire struggle to understand where the problem and what has failed you to draw, and then you'll be in position to move on. Point 6 is implementation solution. This is very, very important. You have done all that. You have brought all the administrators. You have decided, and you are at almost the last stage of implementation. That is going to give you results. If you had wrong implementation, wrong ideas and what have you, even at the implementation stage, that's where you're going to start thinking, and the pastor is going to come on board. But the questions that you must address yourself to include what is to be done, who is to be done. I know where you can have a very good solution, and you give it to somebody, a wrong person to implement it and causes a problem.
Yes.
It is true you have got a school fees strategy, and the person sending school fees is not the best person to do that, and his approach is going to cause community problems in the area. You are having the head of security in the school, and for him you think because it's tough, he can back at people, he can head security. The people who are implementing our good ideas are also a problem, and many times they cause resistance. Now, I want to request every one of you that these desirable questions are important, and make sure that you have the answers in affirmative. And when you get there, you'll be able to know that you are doing the same, and there is a need to notify and prepare the people who are going to be affected. And that's the element of areas of common interest. And the last stage here, ladies and gentlemen, is the stage 7 or step 7 that we call assess the results. This is very important, and that is why we are in those offices. Every time you implement a decision, find time of assessing its productivity. Find time of assessing. I usually find people moving out, that we are going out, we are for retreat, and then you ask them for the order paper. What is it that we are going to do? We have been working so much in doing what? We've been struggling to destroy the institution. That would be the simple meaning. But then you should have the position to see that we are making an assessment and we are analyzing something for these cases. And also, take a note of the following questions and areas that set the dates for evaluation, and who will do that, and the parties involved, and we need to make any changes. That will take you to the next set of problems. If you really answer these questions, problem. And then that will also give you another form of decision that you need to take in that particular arrangement. And I want to say, often the action taken uncovers new problems. You should realize that every time you take an action and you implement it as a leader, as an administrator, you are going to discover new problems. And why are you in that school? Is to work on the problems that I stated earlier, and that will take you to another level, and that will make you to be graded and also to be ungraded depending on your level. Ladies and gentlemen, concluding thoughts as disclaimer. I want to state and take note of the following. 1, can you say I am a leader and mean it? The question remains there. It is up to you. And if so, that's one of the real tests of the true leadership in decision making. You go to judge yourself. The other important point is that none of us do our best in leading others until we know our ability. We gain ability when we acquire knowledge, skills, and techniques. To that, we must then add value. This goes to the administrators in making. It is important before you think you can do that, acquire knowledge, acquire skill, and this experience you see, it will become an added advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, in this presentation, it's my disclaimer, in this presentation, I have tried to offer knowledge by informing you about being a leader. I have provided materials for you to learn skills and techniques in leading others. As a leader or a potential leader, you can only lead others if others in your organization have already acknowledged your potential. You must learn to accept your ability as a leader. It is important. I repeat, issues of administration, they lie here. And I want to repeat this. As a leader or a potential leader, when I say a potential leader, I mean the deputies. And this is a very important point for any one of us to think about. As a leader or a potential leader, you can only lead others if others in your organization have already acknowledged your potential. You must learn to accept your ability as a leader. That's key element. Sometimes you take it for granted because you're deputy, and then you cannot ABCD. There's that element of acceptability which comes from the other side, and then that will do the same. And then we say, no matter how much material I write, I cannot make anyone in this room a leader. But when we give ourselves to God's service and use whatever abilities we have, God helps us to lead and serve others. I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. For God of the country, thank you for listening to me. I remain Hamlet Mohammed, and a chair of this school. Thank you very much. I hope I've answered your question. Thank you very much, everyone.
I recognize the presence of Bishop. Bishop, will you stand up for recognition? Bishop Ivan Gorovi. Revival. Of course, when I said Bishop, Mama Bishop will automatically, some things are about to happen. So Bishop, once again, he is coming up to wave to us, and Mama will come also automatically. Can we do it? Oh, there you go. Thank you so very much. You're so very welcome. Okay, dinner time.
Today was a beautiful day. Njagala nyumye munawe. Natunuli domuntu gwene gombanga. You're the person I prayed for forever with. Watambo deno nyuma maziga negamva mumaso. Ngankutunulira ngasikumala, and I said, this is what a blessing should look like. I'll go places you will want me to. Darling, nagendaga twajolaga. This is my promise to you. Ntinkwagala. When you fight, what will be when kubanga nze nkwagala nga nakwagalanga I will be loving you, and that's why I just said I do to forever kubanga nze nkwagala nga nakwagalanga. Ofuse mwami wange, nfuse mukyala wo, said I do, and I do, and I do. Kwagala, kwagala, will be loving you, and that's why I just said I do. Forever, kubanga nze nkwagala.
My name is Canon Dr. Charles Kaigiriza. I'm the head teacher of Leje Senior Secondary School and vice chairperson of the Great Educators Forum. On behalf of the chairperson, Mrs. Rosie Isizinga, who's also a member of the Education Service Commission, I want to convey her apologies for her inability to be with us this evening. She was caught up and she asked me to stand in for her. I'd like to use this opportunity to thank you for coming, for responding to our invitation and coming in such a big numbers. You are all distinguished educators. Some of you are still active in service. Others are retired. And we feel happy to have you today. When we conceived the idea of forming the Great Educators Forum, as Brother Godfrey narrated to you, the objectives were not very clear, but we were very convinced that we needed a forum that unites all educators, both active and those who are retired. I'm happy that as time goes on, the objectives get clearer and clearer, and we are getting more and more educators on board. When we started this dinner idea, it started, our first dinner was in Coco. The turnout was not as good as it is, but it had very outstanding educators. The second dinner was in Imperial Royal. The attendance went on improving. And the third one was in Fairway. There the attendance was even much better than the previous two. And this one, you are all witnesses that the turn-up is very good. And let's clap for ourselves. We have been working behind the scenes. And at this juncture, I want to introduce to you the members of the executive. The chairperson is Mrs. Rosie Zizing, as I've indicated. I'm the vice chairperson, and Brother Godfrey Rutaya is our treasurer. Mr. Solomon Bumba is our coordinator. Madame Viola Nalwoza is a member of the executive. We have Abdul Doka, the principal, the deputy principal. Mr. Evans Senabulia of Ridgeway is also a member of the executive. I had him being introduced. This forum is a unique forum. Some of you have been members of ASHU, and I want to recognize my former chairperson, Madame Kotirida Makate. Here from the hospital, one of our trustees is here, Dr. Yusuf Sobuga, former director of basic and secondary education in the Ministry of Education and Sports. So in ASHU, we are all active head teachers in service. That it's the only organization in this country that unites all active and retired educationists. And it is the only forum that unites educationists at all levels, at primary, secondary, teacher education, and universities, and education administrators at different levels. So, and it gives us an opportunity, because in our subsectors, we know each other very well. Like secondary, we know each other, but we didn't know other educators in other subsectors in primary. So the Great Educators Forum has given us an opportunity to get to know each other. And our forum, our platform, our WhatsApp platform has been very active. And I want to thank all those who have been very active on our forum. You saw Madame Joyce Kaiwango Katu. Is she here? Is she still here? Yeah. She has been very active on it. She's one of the active people on the forum. And here you saw her on the floor. Yeah, she was very active. And I would like to thank everyone who has contributed to making this dinner a success. I want to thank my brother, Muhammad Kamlegea, for that knowledge he has shared with us. It has been very useful. And I would like to encourage you to visit his school, Tebi Secondary School. He's doing great work there. I want to thank my sister Susan for entertaining us. Yeah, I'm showing us that you have talent. Actually, that's one of the objectives as a forum, to give ourselves an opportunity to meet, compare notes, to reflect on our profession, on how we can make it better. She's the chairperson of Mkono Primary Head Teachers Association, and even Kohea Mkono. I'm her boss. I'm the national Kohea chairperson. Yeah, so I envy lawyers. The lawyers have protected their profession, but educationists, we have not protected our profession. Everybody thinks they can be teachers or they can be educationists. My daughter is here. I want to introduce to you my family. My wife, my daughter is a lawyer, is an advocate of the High Court, and my son is a computer scientist. So I was talking about lawyers. I introduced the family when I talked about lawyers, how they protect their what? Their profession. And as educationists, we should protect it so that we get rid of masqueraders in our profession. It's a very important profession, and we contribute a lot to development of nations. So, and this forum gives us that opportunity. So we are looking forward to making the forum stronger and stronger, and bringing more people on board, and getting to know each other and discussing how we can strengthen our profession and protect it, make it more respectable, because we are doing a great job. We are doing a great job. You're not saying his word. The nation is, because we are, the nation is. Yeah, you cannot talk of development of the nation without recognizing the contribution of educationists at all levels. So, as we go out, let's convey the gospel of the Great Educators Forum, and interest more people to join us. And Solomon, he sleeps, he thinks, he eats Great Educators Forum, and he's ready to move to any corner of this country. You identify any outstanding educationist and whisper to him. He's going to look for that person and bring him on board. As a forum, we have an annual publication journal where we profile outstanding educationists. Let's contribute. I want to thank those who have contributed to that particular one, and encourage all of you to write on a number of topics that are going to benefit all of us. And we are also very much interested. The original idea was profiling outstanding educationists and recognize them. Because if we don't do that, and as brother said, when we started this initiative of recognizing outstanding educationists, other people came on board. The Embassy of Ireland, together with the New Vision, they started that program of teachers who make a difference. And I want to congratulate members of Education Forum who have been profiled by the New Vision, and some of them are here. And one of them is Brother Godfrey Kaya, and myself, and others in the forum for the outstanding contribution. I think even Haji Muhammad Kamalagan has been one of those who have been profiled by the New Vision. Which are the initiatives? Yeah, and the other initiatives which have come after the education, Great Educators Forum, to recognize teachers. So that's the influence we have had in this country, and we can have a bigger influence if we will come on board, support the forum, support our profession, and interest young people to join teaching as a choice, not as a last resort. Yeah, should come on board as a choice. Thank you very much for your attention, and once again, thank you very much for coming for this dinner, and come even next year when you advertise, and bring a friend. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, proposers, plus the audience. We can put our hands together for the committee for the great job. Like every other head teacher will have to mention, especially on the assembly, about punctuality. I want to thank God we have finished in time. And I think next is again Ronald Mayinja. But before we go to Ronald Mayinja to close us, we have a bishop in our midst. I'll ask him to pray the final prayer, because Ronald Mayinja may sing until tomorrow. As Ronald Mayinja does his thing, until
much as we have done many other things, but let us honor God by giving him a hand clap for the gift he has given us. Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, shall we have a prayer together? Shall we pray? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you. We thank you for the gift of life, and we thank you for the friendship. Thank you, Lord, for all the input which has been put into this, that we can come together. We have been challenged in our leadership, how we do things. But we thank you because you have left us, that we can do it much better. So we pray that you may lead us even in the challenging times. We pray for those who are struggling in this education journey. We pray for all the institutions today present and those who will make it to come. Bless us, Lord, in our different capacities, maybe as managers or people who have started these institutions. We pray that you may bless us with divine counsel. We pray that, Lord, you may continue to give us friends, people who will impact us, that we may go higher. We want to thank you even for the nice meal we've had together. We pray that we may have another higher level even next year as we gather together. This I pray in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
like about to go though. Can we do it for the rest of the day today? When I start to talk about God, you will need to know the man I speak so highly of. That man can change your life from zero to hero in no time. He can take you from the grass to your grace in no time. He's a man of his word, oh, as faithful as he says so. You will not see him changing, no. At your weakest he is strong, oh. When you're blinded